In this video, I'm going to show you how to define your own margins that really has nothing to do with the document grid. So this is called the value option in the margin section. So this only works in quick mode, and what you do is you just check value here, and you can go ahead and define your own margins that has nothing to do with the document grid, as I just mentioned. Now, if I work in the vertical value mode, as you can see here, it appears that we still have our document grid here, but this is we have guides created into a layer that you can enable and disable. Now, this is because we are not breaking the horizontal grid, and my margins will actually jump based on the width of the grid. So you can break the grid partially or fully. So let me go ahead and show you the leading that has been applied. Now, if you don't enter any leading, 12 is going to be entered by default. And this is the leading that fits perfectly because we have not applied any values to our top and bottom margin yet. But check this value, how it changes to fit perfectly in our vertical margins. So if I change this to 15, 20 millimeters, and you can work in any unit that you want, just change here. Okay, so let's go back to our setup here, and you can see if I go down here, and I'm gonna zoom in here, you can see that it fits perfectly. So you don't need to do any kind of calculations for yourself. This value fits perfectly. Okay, so let's continue here. I can set up my side margins following the document grid, or I can just define my own side margins and the layer will be deleted here. So after I've done that, I can go ahead and define my own columns and rows, and I can apply rows from this drop down, or I can go into the custom setup. And I can enter my values for the columns, the gutter, and my secondary columns, sub-columns, and below that we have the secondary columns. And this is the same for rows. Now what you can do is you can look at the value for the leading. So I'm going to enter that 4.226 millimeters and apply my rows and play around until I find something that fits, for example, like that or like that. So let's remove the rows here, and here's the cool part that you normally can't create in InDesign unless you do a lot of manual setups, and that is the type area grid. Let me show you how that works. For example, I can decide that I want to split this type area horizontally 50 times, and it just creates these guides for me and applies them on a layer. And I can also continue to split my leading here so that I can align texts for my body copy and my caption text, and eventually they will line up. So that's basically how the value option works in quick mode.